1970 Volkswagen Convertible, restoration number 2. Clip 32, hood, deck, fenders, and running board installation, November 2011. Polish the hood handle with chrome polish and then install the handle on the hood. Use a 10mm socket and from under the hood connect the two 6mm bolts on the hood handle. Wilma and Marcy held the hood while I installed the 4 bolts. Use a 13mm socket and install the 4 hood bolts, 2 on each side, as shown. Adjust the striker plate as necessary by loosening these bolts and moving the trunk back and forth, and then retighten these bolts. Add grease to the striker plate receiver. Add grease to all moving connection of the hood. Wipe any excess grease off with a clean, dry rag. Hood installation complete. Work on this section 3 hours. Polish the deck lid handle with chrome polish and then install the handle on the deck lid. By using a Phillips screwdriver from under the deck lid, install the 3 bolts for the deck lid as shown. Polish the deck lid Volkswagen emblem with chrome polish and install the Volkswagen emblem on the deck lid. Use the slip-on fastener to install the Volkswagen emblem. Clean the tag light assembly and use a new rubber gasket for the light assembly. Add a drop of oil on the 3 tag light assembly studs and run a nut on each stud to clean off any paint that may have hindered the bolt tightening. Then with an 8mm socket attach the light assembly to the deck lid. New tail light lens. Use a new rubber gasket between the light assembly and the deck lid. Attach the rain gutter on the inside of the deck lid with 2 sheet metal screws as shown. Add the downspouts. With a 10mm socket, attach the tag bracket. Insert the rubber gasket between the tag bracket and the deck lid. Review video clip 12, deck removal for proper spring and wire positioning. Use a 10mm socket and install the deck lid. It will take 2 people holding the deck lid while you install the M6 bolts. The air cleaner will need to be off the engine. Adjust the deck lid as necessary by loosening the bolts and moving the deck up and down and then retightening the bolt. Install the spring and tag light wire as shown. Connect the tag light wires. I later found that I had the tag light wire reversed. The number 8 fuse would blow. No right side parking or tail light would work. Install a new rubber stock for the deck lid. Screw the top in until the right amount of fit with the deck lid is achieved. Deck lid install. Work on this section 4 hours. The VW was getting a little dusty in the garage, so I backed it outside and washed it off with a water hose and dried it with a clean, dry towel. In order to get the fender ready to install, I sprayed each fender bolt with WD-40 and then ran an M8 bolt into every fender hole to make sure there was no paint clogging up the hole. This took a little time for all 4 fenders, but I knew that when I held the fender in place, I did not want any problem. Since I was there, I also sprayed each bumper bracket bolt hole with WD-40 and then ran the M8 bolt into every bumper bracket hole. If very much paint is in the hole, then you may want to use a tap M8 by 1.25 to clean out the hole. I mounted the fender by installing the center bolt to balance the fender. Then I added the remaining bolts but did not tighten them. I loosely mounted both front fenders. Then I loosely mounted both rear fenders. I opened the fender webbing that came with the body seal kit from Mid-America and saw that it was made in Mexico and did not appear as stout as my previous webbing. I went to the local VW supply store, M&D, and purchased German-made webbing by West Coast Metric, and it appeared to be much thicker. Much to my surprise, the German-made webbing did not have the V's or the bolt cutouts. so I had to cut the V's and the round hole for the bolts myself. I used the Mid-America webbing as a pattern for both of these cutouts. With the webbing installed and held in place with my fingers, I was able to tighten all of the bolts on the right front fender. One fender installed and 3 more to go. Work on this section, 3 hours. I installed the new headlight rubber drain plug in the headlight opening, and then I installed the remaining 3 fenders. Work on this section, 4 hours. I purchased new German-made running board from M&T Manufacturing. I pulled the rubber matting back on one side and painted a coat of POR 15 on the front and back side of the running board prior to their installation. After the POR 15 dried, I pulled the rubber matting back in place as shown. I slid the 5 clips on the back of the chrome molding and placed them to correspond with the opening in the running board. I cut the rubber with a razor blade to correspond with these openings. Then I pushed the flange on each clip through the running board opening as shown. Then I held the chrome molding tight against the running board and used a pair of pliers to twist the flange to secure the chrome molding in place. I sprayed each running board bolt hole with WD-40 and then ran a starter bolt into the 4 running board holes on each side to check the thread and clean them out. If very much paint was in them, you may want to use a tap M6 by 1.0 to clean out the hole. I inserted the 4 running board bolt and washer as shown, leaving the washer pulled back so the running board lip can slide on the inside between the body and the washer. Then I slipped the running board over the 4 bolts. Only 1 bolt is shown in this photo. I installed the 2 running board fender bolts and tightened them uniformly and then tightened the 4 running board bolts. Be sure that the fender bolt has a rubber washer between the outside of the fender and the running board as shown in the blow-up. Work on this section, 2 hours. The rear fender gravel shield was installed by loosening the lower 3 fender bolts and the running board bolt and slipping the gravel shield between the fender and the body and between the running board and the body. Tighten the bolts and bend the shield over the fender. Close-up view of the gravel shield. Work on this section, 2 hours. Work on this chapter, 18 hours. Total hour to date, 506. Stay tuned for progress reports.